Alrighty folks, I want to welcome you back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. So for this one, I already did a general video on this error that I've been finding. It is basically a Windows update error that is basically running your computer into end of life. And then pretty soon you don't get updates anymore. So for this video I'm going to actually do two different videos together. This is actually basically everybody should know how to do Windows updates. But the thing I found with Windows 10 is, of course, it goes back to this end of life factor. Is here you're getting updates, but what updates are you actually fully getting? This is the issue that I've been finding and I've been running into quite a bit, is that you run into these issues and nobody knows what's going on, and all of a sudden you're having a lot of problems. Let me close out what I was doing, and all of a sudden your computer's not updating anymore. You're having issues, you can't do certain things. It's saying you need to update this, you're out of update. You know, a lot of weird little messages that'll come up, and I've been finding this little issue. So let's start out with basically how you do updates on Windows 10. I'm sure this is probably going to be a problem that carries over to Windows 11 unless they resolve this, but since Windows 10 has been out for years now and there's so many different versions out, that I'm sure Windows 11 is probably going to continue down that road. And now a lot of this is coming up and people are realizing it, that maybe this is a factor you might be having at home. So you see, when you hit the little gear, it comes up with your menu. In there's updates and security. So in here you will see this part here underneath. You can actually check for updates. But underneath there's this other category that comes up. And this is where I think a lot of the issues are, is you're coming up with Windows updates that need to be done, but they're not really auto running. You have to say, okay, download and install. But I found there's a lot of computers where after so long, automatically they update to the newest version. Some update versions, like this one, will say it's H1, it's 21H1 is the current version that I see a lot of computers having, where it doesn't give you the option to go to 21H2. So it's kind of a weird option error that's out there, because what they're doing is they're releasing it when it's ready for your system and your hardware and your drivers and all of that type of stuff. So there's some little bugs, some little things out there to do with this. So what I've been finding that's really weird is some of them will be running really old versions, and you'll be getting updates because it'll tell you what your update is, the month, year, what the update is, and then it'll actually tell you your version. So this is really one of the catch-22s, that if you're doing updates and it automatically updates and it's rebooting and you see something weird here, and this is really the hard part, because you got to keep yourself educated and informed on what version is currently out. So the other way you can check what version you have is over here. I've talked about it on the video where it has the OS build information. This is the easiest way for me to refer people to it, because there's other places that will check, but it gives you a version number, not an actual version. So those version numbers actually relate to this version. So from here you can see that this is a Windows 10 Home. And that's important for a lot of people to know that, because you need to know if you have Pro or Home, especially if you're upgrading to Windows 11. This is another place you can look to see what version you have. In here it'll tell you your install date and your version. So version is a lot easier to look up than, I think, using the full Windows numbers that they give you in other places. It's a lot more easier to relate to someone, say, hey, do you have 21H1, 21H2, than trying to give them some complex number that someone's not really going to understand. It's small enough that it really makes it easier. You have your OS build. So basically that is more detail to what your version number is. The main difference that I'm bringing up is this version number. This is where I've been finding, when I go and look, that I've been finding some really old versions that haven't been upgraded, and then what happens is they get to the end of life and then you can't do any more patches. You have to physically use the USB and basically upgrade your Windows 10 unit to the newest version, because it's so outdated it won't upgrade anymore. You can't do it. So this is really one of the factors I wanted to bring up, and this really has to do with updating. So these two categories, I believe, are actually falling completely together. How to do updates and how to watch out for this little thing that's out there. Because here I'll do check for updates. Now you'll notice it didn't have that earlier. Now it actually says it has this update for which version. So when you're running Windows updates, odds are your computer's updating. And it'll update to a certain point till it gets to end of life due to what version you're actually running. And the hard part is by the time you figure this out and you go to upgrade, oh, I need to go to 21H2, and it has it down here for you to download and install, but you're too old of a version that when you go to do it, it runs through like it says it does, but then it errors and it won't update because your version is too old to update from. One of the other factors is you have all your optional. This is usually what it used to come up with your drivers and that type of stuff, where you can download your drivers. You want to make sure you update all your drivers, especially with all this stuff going on about, ransomware and all this stuff and malicious attacks from countries and all of this stuff. You want to always make sure you try to keep all this stuff updated. Not to mention, it should better the performance of your system by having the most updated driver. Most of the time those drivers are released because there's fixes and other things to current issues. So I really wanted to touch base on this part. As you can see, it's downloading. And basically for that one, you click there, it will start downloading the other one. So these are the things that I wanted to sum up in this video and really show you, because these are the things I've been finding that could really be a nightmare for some people and could actually be quite costly if you end up taking it to a shop, because your computer's not updating. You can't run your Office, you can't run other software because you're outdated. When it's just really a simple fix, it's really something to watch out for. Maybe you've already had this issue before and you've had it repaired and this issue comes up again. Maybe the shop didn't really know why you had this issue, of why your software stopped and why you couldn't update. So they basically probably did the same process as what I'm telling you now is by doing the USB upgrade, upgrading it to the current version. You keep all your drivers, you keep all your software, you keep all your files. Just brings you to the modern edition. Whatever the little glitch is that they have, that it's not approved by Microsoft for that direct computer for some other reason. Maybe they're still waiting for a driver, maybe waiting for something before they push out that update to you. I'd imagine with Windows 11 all of that will go away because it's going to be a lot more newer computers because the specifications are a lot higher. So maybe that issue will go away. Maybe it'll come back in 3 years, 4 years, when you have some of those older computers that were grandfathered in, adopted in, like this laptop is the bottom CPU allowed on the Windows 11 upgrade. But the thing is you might run into this again in Windows 11. Maybe you haven't run into it yet in Windows 10, but you might in Windows 11. As you can see, it says, good news, you can run Windows 11 on this PC. So this is all part of the upgrading, staying current versions, just doing the Windows updates and the little glitches that I found that can cause you problems later. They can cause you big headaches. So I wanted to do this video of a screen capture so that you're aware of how you actually do this, because the other video I did only talked about the problem, and then it really dawned on me, well, if you're having this problem, you probably don't even understand what I just said. And you'll need to see it. And of course, everybody has different ways of learning. Some people will understand exactly what I said in the other video, go, oh, okay, I got it. Some people can actually watch this video and then go, oh, now I see what he's talking about. Now I see where it actually tells me the version of the update, the security patch, whatever files that I'm updating and repairing or fixing. There's variables here that didn't really used to be there in the old days, in the older versions. Other options you have, if you go down to advanced, here's one option. If you're running Microsoft software, you want to make sure you have this on. This will update your Office and your other software that you have by Microsoft. Other things you can pretty much turn off. Delivery package. You can allow it from downloading to other PCs. Usually I turn this off everywhere, because the problem that I found when we first started with Windows 10 is these things would talk so much. They would talk to everything else onto the network. This might be a feature where if you have computers that have internet access and do not have internet access, you might want to enable this so that your computers that do not have internet access can actually pull updates from this PC to that PC. That would be one of the issues that can kind of resolve this factor that I brought up, is if you don't have internet. Maybe you have internet someplace you go, clubhouse, coffee shop, somewhere you go, and you can get on the internet, apply updates, but you don't have it at home. Schools, anything like that. These are some of these other options you have that you got to be careful on. Where you apply these updates, how you apply them, how you get them. Main reason why I don't usually have that feature on is because if you take an update from a computer that's possibly infected, because who knows what they're doing on it, ransomware, whatever's on that computer, it may end up transferring with that update because that file might be infected. So that's one of the options that I wanted to bring out, is the security part of that. I have not gotten into too much detail of it, but to be safe, that was the feature we just disabled. Not to mention all the bandwidth and all the traffic it does by it talking to other systems, asking them basically, do you have updates for me? We noticed a lot of traffic on our network and at home on my network by that, by things communicating to each other that really didn't need to. But you have that option in case you're in an environment where you might need it. Now, going back to that situation where I said some computers might have internet, some might not on the network. This doesn't have to be enabled on all those computers that are on the network that have internet. You might just enable it on a couple, and then let all the other ones on your network pull from that data. And the reason why I brought up infected computers and stuff, it says you have two options: PCs on local networks and PCs on the internet. And you have your local network. When you go to a coffee shop and you connect, most of that time it's going to be considered as your local network. Or here. So I wanted to point those security things out. Those are just some of the little minor things about Windows Update, plus the other issue. They all seem to run together, so I just did one video because I really thought I needed to point these factors out for people. Because if you're home or small business, these are some of those factors that you might need to know. Maybe you take that laptop with you out on assignments or jobs or whatever, and you go home and you hook up to your network and you pull updates and other things. All these things come into play. And of course, you have these other features that you can turn on and off. So I think that will wrap this one up. As you can see, it's still downloading and installing these updates. Of course, here's your version number, 64-bit system. This is your actual Windows update number of this update. Windows 10 version, 64-bit, and etc. You have your download. This is your process. It's downloading and then it'll install. So I think I've gone pretty much over everything I needed to cover in this video. I want to thank everybody for watching, and stick around. I'll have more videos coming from Yates Computers Tips and Review. This is the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the bell, let people know it's out there. It's important to let everybody know, because you know, this information can be pretty critical to a lot of people. This can save people a lot of headaches by knowing these little tiny things. And like I said, this is a little tiny thing, but this could be a big headache to you later on. So it's important this video's out there. Okay, I want to thank everybody for watching, and forward this out to everybody, send links out, let everybody know I'm out there. Thank you.